Hello, welcome to Lessons Learned. I'm Sherry, and this is Blue. Blue, look at the camera, buddy. They won't see your cute face. Let's finish it Friday, and we're going to see what I've accomplished this week. Finishes, possible finishes, and so on and so forth. And what some of you have finished as well. So let's get right into that. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures on the screen now of a recent long arm project that I got finished. Actually, just yesterday I did this, and I was rooting around in my quilt tops, and I found this quilt top, and I remember making it, of course, but I have no recollection of when or why I made it. It was made out of a jelly roll. I wasn't crazy about working with jelly roll, but for some reason, I don't know if it was Jelly Roll Week a couple years ago or what it was. If it was a couple years ago, that means that I didn't long arm it on long arm extravaganza last year. So this is left over from 2 years ago. Anyway, I don't think it was a Jelly Roll Day project, but it may have been. It definitely wasn't this past year's. It would have been 2024. But you cannot get this jelly roll anymore because when I was making it, a friend liked it and she went to try to find it, couldn't find it. I can't remember what it was called, strawberry something. But it's just a little floral print, soft, very soft. And then I put that etchings. You see the cream background with the grayish looking swirls, and I don't know what, I don't think there's paisleys in it, but it's from that etchings that Moda had here a 3 years ago. A couple years ago at least. I had gotten a hunk of that and decided to use it for the background, which, I don't know, I think it was probably a little bit too busy for it, but anyway. This is about a 70 square, it's just barely not square, 70 inches-ish. And so I quilted that up, and you can see the backing there too was a wide back that I've had for a long time. I used cream thread, and that cream thread just disappeared on the back, which was nice. I thought it would be a little bit more, look a little more white on that tan background, but it just blended in perfectly. So I was glad of that. And the little design on it that I used on Pro Stitcher is called Feather Twist. It's an edge-to-edge design that I put on there, and I think it turned out pretty good. No problems whatsoever. Everything stitched out perfectly, and no problems. Okay, let me show you now Splendid. So this is kind of pinned to one of the poles of my long arm. It's not the best photo of it, but you can see that I fixed the mistake that I had in it that you saw last Friday. Was it last Friday? Is that what it was, or was it Monday? It was Monday, wasn't it? I showed you that I didn't have the borders on it yet, and one of you, actually several of you, spotted that I had a kind of a, it wasn't actually a flying geese unit, but it looked like a flying geese unit. It was turned the wrong way, so I fixed that. And to fix that, all you have to do is just reverse your steps. So whatever you sewed last, you want to rip first, and so forth, until you get that whole unit out. And then sew forward again to put it back once you turn it. So maybe someday, if I have that happen again, I'll film how I did that, but it only took about 20 minutes to get it out of there and get everything set up again to receive it the right way. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. That's why, when some people say, oh, should I fix this or should I not fix it? It's 50-50. You know, sometimes you can get by with leaving it in there and sometimes you can't. And I just felt like this was one of the times that I can't leave it in there. So I did choose to take it out. But that's done now, so I can long arm that, and I've already made the binding for it. So I just need to find a backing that'll work. I'll probably have to make one because I don't want to use a wide back for a small quilt like that. The other thing I got done was the flowering block number 8 from the Sew Sampler box. And this uses, it's using Summertime by Camille Ross Kelly. And you see there's a dark blue, a light blue, and then a green in the center. I'm using something else. I'm using Floret from, I think it's Riley Blake. And here it is. Bear in mind, when you see this, you'll be like, that's not a very pretty flower. It's called I Lilac You. So that's supposed to be a lilac. Anyway, are you going to fall? Here. Here it is. It's not beautiful, but it's okay. It'll fit in with the other stuff. I'm running out. I had this dark blue, but I didn't have enough. But I had enough of that dark charcoal. And then I used pink instead of, let's see, she has one of her light blues. And then for the center, instead of using a green, I used a gold. So that's done for the month. I haven't gotten notice yet of a new Sew Sampler box to pay for yet. So I've got a little bit of time before I have another one of those. I still got a few things to catch up on this weekend. Okay, so something, well, hold on. Let's just go straight to the quilt show now, and then we'll come back here and talk about something I forgot on Wednesday. First up, we have one from Sushma. She says, here is my Finish It Friday submission. This was from National Jelly Roll Day back on September 20th. She made her own pattern using a soft palette, a Three Sisters collection from Moda. I had this jelly roll for quite some time and was waiting for some inspiration to use it. It was done with one jelly roll and some yardage, also some coordinating strips from Laguna Sunrise. It's a lap-size quilt, very springy. Most importantly, this one was my first long arm quilt using Pro Stitcher. Yay! Congratulations! It looks great. Not quite perfect, she says, but getting there. I admire your work and dedication. It's so amazing to see fellow quilters work on Friday. Thank you. Thank you, Sushma. Yes, I'm so happy for you that you're using your Moxie and your Pro Stitcher Lite to come up with some cool designs for your quilt. Some of those edge-to-edge programmable or programmed designs in the software that you can, well, from what some people think, just flip a switch and it stitches itself out. Of course, we know, both of us know this. That is not the way it goes. So you've done a great thing here. I love your own personal design. It's got a lot of character to it. I like the layered look on the front of your quilt. And then you've also made good use of your extra for the backing. Perfect. Next is Shirley. She says, I finally got the spools quilted and the binding was finished tonight. I may have shared the top before getting it quilted. It is my happy accident quilt. 4 center blocks were not cut properly and led to me making them like these. My Longarmer had this amazing quilt design which I thought was perfect for the sewing quilt theme. Thank you for your time and effort you put into each and every one of your videos. You're the first I watch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with my morning coffee. Shirley is in Alaska. Thank you, Shirley, for faithfully watching. And this also is the, again, I think we saw one of these last week. One of these spinning spools or whatever it's called. I don't even remember what the pattern was called. But I believe it was a free pattern from Fat Quarter Shop, and that's the one that's hanging on the wall at the end of my long arm. So here Shirley has done hers in blues and purples, And yes, if you look at the quilting, I hope you all are able to see it. It's got some spools and some thread winding all through it. So that was just perfect. And I like how that your middle spools are a little bit different. Gives a little whimsy to your quilt. So very, very good. Next we have Penny. And she says, this year has been a very low sojo year for me, but I did manage this. She says, after a trip to the quilt shop, my 20-year-old son texted me the picture and asked if I could make this, in quotes, could make this. Of course we can, right? Once I explained the purpose of sample quilts, I worked the picture backward and figured out the block design enough in EQ8. Ultimately, he chose the colors and the border style. He loves the Northern Lights, and his choices are meant to reflect them in his quilt. I never thought I'd collab with my son on a quilt, but I loved every minute, and it really motivated me to start and finish at least the top for now. She used Riley Blake for the background and Shadow Play by Maywood Studio for the blocks and the border. Pretty. I love these colors, and I like this representation. I would call it a modern representation of the Northern Lights. And so I hope your son is enjoying his quilt by now. Maybe you have it quilted, I don't know, but he's sure going to love that when it is all done. He can use it in his room or wherever he lives to enjoy and know that his mom made it. Next we have Carol. Sun Painted Carol, you know the one. She says, hi Sherry, I hope all is well with you, your hubby, and that cute dog of yours, Blue. Yes, we are all fine. Thanks for asking. This quilt is an oversized queen size measuring 96 by 98 inches. I used all of my sun painted fabrics. It's going to be another donation quilt. I quilted it in a loop-de-loop pattern. If you remember, I was going to try to make it a no by 2025. Well, I did it. It was really hard not to buy anything these past couple of weeks because of all the sales, but I managed not to. Wow, good for you. Good for you, Carol. She says, I do enjoy watching all your acquisitions, though, and she's laughing. I hope you and all your viewers have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Carol. Always enjoy seeing your quilts. Beautiful sun-dyed fabrics, sun-painted, that she's done herself. Beautiful as usual. And then we also have another submission from Patricia. She said that her husband here wanted a quilt made in the colors of his favorite soccer team. It was really difficult to find a pattern with just two colors, she says. Well, I don't know what the gold and, I guess it's gold or yellow and blue team stands for. You soccer fans out there surely do. But I like the pattern. It's very, very nice to look at. All the flying geese flying towards one another in that X pattern there. I like that. And then the keystones and the nice borders. Lovely colors together. The blue and the yellow there. Looks great. Donna. Okay, now this is not a brand new finish. This is a vintage finish, but she wanted to share it, and we're going to show it. She says this one is for Popeye fans. It is a panel quilt that I made for my daughter when she was about 5 years old. I found the kit in a thrift store, and I couldn't pass it up, especially not with Sweet Pea in the bush. Like the memories of the 35 years that it has been with us, the colors are a little faded now, but our love for it remains bright. I was never afraid to wash it, and it has stood the test of time, as I'm sure it will for many years to come. Be sure to look at the bush in the bottom right corner. Sweet Pea is always there, waiting to come out and play. Isn't this precious? From 35 years ago. Now, do any of you remember this sewing project? Was this in your stash or in your projects that you made way back then? Has to be from, what would it be? the 80s, I would say. I don't know. That's the time period you're referring to, but it could have been vintage before that. Maybe you've told me. I'm not sure. But I didn't see it here in the description. But isn't that sweet? Look at Sweet Pea there in the bush. Literally in the bush. Thanks, Donna. And then Sharon. Sharon says, this quilt was a free pattern by Donna Jordan, Charming Stars. I used colors that duplicated the quilt because I had tan fabric as well as the tan with footprints in the sand. And the blue color is from the line of fabric called Opal Essence. The size is 44 by 55. I did a fold over binding. Thank you for all your videos. I love watching you chat quilting, and especially Blue, your quilting support dog. Precious. Thank you, Sharon. I love your quilt here, and I love the colors, how they go well together. It's kind of a tealish sort of blue, and then a darker blue, and I see that Opal Essence in some of those dark blue squares there. That's pretty cool. And also the footprints in the sand tan fabric as well. So that went together very well. It's kind of an Ohio Star rendition. And it gives a couple of different secondary patterns within it as well. So that's a cool quilt. Very good job, Sharon. Patricia. Let's see here. No, not Patricia. It is Sharon. No, I just did Sharon. Let's do, how about let's do Dolores. Dolores is next. She says, attached you'll find pictures of 2 of the 11 quilts I entered into the Needle Chasers Quilt Guild. That's in Mississippi, by the way. Quilt show that they had in October of 2025. The first one is 2 of Lori Holt's patterns, Millie's dresses, and a Soul Sampler exclusive pattern called Haberdashery. And she used my fusion pattern of those 2 patterns. So some of you that have been around for a little bit remember me tying these 2 patterns together and then making a layout for it. Well, Dolores made it up, and then she also had me quilt it. If you look at the second picture, that is my house right there. She said she quilts. I quilt her biggest quilts for her, as she is no longer able to quilt the larger ones due to bad shoulder. She said it was a big hit with a blue ribbon. I'm so proud of this. You did a great job on your hats and dresses, and that pattern that I made up, you were able to follow it. Although it had no illustrations, it only had text print instructions, but you got it done, and looky here, you've got a blue ribbon. Awesome. Now there's another one here that I quilted for her. She says, this was a sew along with the Fat Quarter Shop Jelly Roll book. It was also beautifully quilted with dragonflies by me. That's moi as in Sherry, with a second place ribbon. Both quilts were in the same category and took first and second place. Wow, I'm so proud of you, Dolores, and I'm so proud to have had a little bit of a hand in your quilts. They are lovely. Very good job. Dolores is an avid quilter, and she usually quilts her own quilts if she can. If they're small enough on her domestic machine. But these are just great quilts. And look at that scrappy binding on the Jelly Roll quilt. That looks good. Great job. And then we have Deborah. She said, just finished this baby quilt and just noticed I missed 2 cornerstones at the top. Oh well, I still think it will pass. You know, I was not going to mention that, but nobody is going to realize that there's not supposed to be cornerstones up there. It's a beautiful baby quilt, nice soft baby colors, and I like the little the little tiny rose prints that you're using around the edges there, and then you have a scrappy binding. Also love your crosshatch quilting you did, no doubt on your own little domestic machine. And, you know, when the quilt is being used, definitely you're not going to see those missing little squares there, but I don't think it takes one thing away from your quilt. Great job. The last one we have is from Mary. Now, look at this. See something familiar there? That's her garden charm. She's done. She's got her borders on. Here's what she says about it. She says, "Good morning, Sherry." This was yesterday. "I hope I didn't wake you up yesterday with my hoops and hollers of joy when I finished putting on the very last border of Garden Charm. Honestly and literally, this could not have been done without your help. I'm an experienced sewist, but not so much an experienced quilter. And without the second set of instructions, I was just at a roadblock. I want to send you a picture of the finished top, which I think people call a flimsy. Yes, this is a flimsy because it's not quilted yet. I've never heard that term before, and I have so much to learn. Even though I'm 76 years old, there's still so much to learn." Oh, I know it, Mary. We just don't even live long enough to learn it all. She goes on to say, "This quilt also taught me how important it is to measure and sew a 1/4-inch seam. I followed the cutting instructions to the absolute exact measurement, and this thing came out so perfectly, there were no places where I had to pull or tweak anything. This was my first experience using a pattern, and I'm usually pretty much of a scrap quilt kind of girl. Thanks again for all your help, and I hope maybe you'll show my finished quilt on your next episode in January." I probably will. And she says she'll be watching to see if it's on the Friday show, even though she's a little ahead of schedule. Well, I wasn't going to leave this out. She says, "Thanks again for all your help. I will keep watching your YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun to see what you're doing." And Mary is from Rhode Island. So there you go. See the yellow border and then the wide, large flower border? Those are the two things we're going to do next month. So I'll be giving tips and tricks on how to get borders on successfully so that they're not wavy and so that your quilt remains square. And I'm really happy for you, Mary, that you were able to be very conscientious and get your your measurements in order before you started and do your accurate cutting, and you didn't have a bit of trouble with things going together right. So that you're going to be hooked on patterns now. You said you weren't used to using patterns, but now you're going to be confident enough to try another one, I'm sure. Okay, that's it for this week. That's our 10 submissions, and we will get back to the video. Another great finish at Friday. Don't you agree? Here's what I forgot. I forgot to do this on Wednesday for my new, what's new for the year, what's shiny and bright for next year. These two quilt art from engagement calendars from American Quilter Society. I forgot to do the drawing for it. Forgot to mention it. So it's kind of a good thing though, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back on that video, not this video, I'm going to go back on Wednesday's video and pick 2 winners for these. Okay, so if you haven't watched that video yet and you haven't commented, any sort of comment, you don't have to put any sort of word in or anything, but go back to Wednesday's video this week. That would have been the 10th, I think. Let me look at the calendar. Yes, December 10th, 2025, that video. It's called The Plan for 2026 or something like that. So I'm going to pick from there. So if you didn't leave a comment and you want a chance at one of these are like $15 each. So, I mean, I got them cheaper than that because I'm a member. But it's a good little thing to win. So if you want one, go over there and comment. And enough of that, right? Alright. This weekend, I am going to try to get myself to get the blockheads put together. If I successfully do that, then I'm going to go back and do my Jolly Bar 5 block. I'm sure there might be 2 blocks now, but if there are 2 blocks, it's the last 2 blocks, so that sew along will be out of the way. I did cut out for the evening on the prairie pie safe is the name of the pattern. That's from the sew sampling box. Let me get that, I'll show it to you. This pattern, I'm doing the table runner, and here is everything cut out ready to go. I'd like to work on this instead. That's what I really like to do. So it takes another 2/3 of background, a fat quarter of accent, a half a yard of border, and 5/8 yard of cornerstones. Why is it 5/8? Oh, and binding. So here's Evening on the Prairie right here. Okay. And then Cloud, it called for Cloud, Riley Blake Confetti and Cloud for the background and the sashing. I had that, so I went ahead and did that. So all of this from here, down here, and down here is from the collection. These 2 pieces I had to pull from my stash because I wasn't going to go buy those. See that right there, those 4 rectangles? You would have to go buy those from the line. I'm just using something I got that's going to work. And yeah, use stash when you can. Use stash because what did I tell you the other day? You use stash, your quilt is going to be a little bit different than everybody else's. It's a one of a kind piece of art. At least that's what I keep telling myself. So lots of things I can still work on. I can get started on my paper roses. I need to work on my autumn wedding. Those little H blocks. I need to do those. So I'm going to see what mood hits me. My main thing is to get this blockheads off my design wall. And if I don't want to work on it, I might just take it down and hang those blocks back up, and I'll get to it when I get to it. So I'm just only going to do what I feel like doing, and hopefully there's going to be one day this weekend that I will actually feel like doing that. We shall see. I hope you feel like doing something this weekend too in your sewing room. If not, just go in there and poke around in your fabric and pet it and move it around, and you will get inspired. We will be back here for Monday Quilt Chat, so be sure and have yourself subscribed and the bell notification on so that you won't miss any upcoming videos that we have here on Lessons Learnt Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. I do want to mention I have snow predicted and very cold temperatures, and I know a lot of you have that too, so it's the perfect sewing weather. All right, enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Bye.